As we get closer to Georgia's primary election, a heavy hitter is coming to the state to campaign for one of the candidates.
Vice President Mike Pence's choice is different than the pick of former President Donald Trump. But what does it all mean? Our Jeff Hollander spoke about this all with NBC's Chuck Todd.
11 days until the Georgia primary election, and the big news today, former Vice President Mike Pence will be here to campaign with Governor Kemp one day before the election. Joining me is Chuck Todd, the moderator of NBC's Meet the Press. An interesting dynamic here, Chuck, and it's forming with President Trump backing David Perdue in the governor's race, while former Vice President Pence now siding with Governor Kemp. Interesting, though not surprising.
It is, and it's easy now, right? You see that, you could see where things are headed directionally. So, a winning campaign suddenly get a lot more extra supporters on it. So, this would be more impressive if they had been on the side of, Kemp, say, a year ago, right? But better late than never for some of these folks. But it certainly shows you that there is a group of Republicans that are desperate for Trump to be marginalized. And they look for these opportunities and hope that they can jump on the bandwagon and do it. I will go back to something I've said to you before. I do think we shouldn't overrate what's happened here in this governor's primary as somehow a sign that Trump's weakening. David Perdue's been a terrible candidate. David Perdue had no explanation for why he wanted to be governor.
Yeah. And
governor's races are different from federal races. And so I would just be careful reading this as somehow, the Republican Party is rebuking Trump. No, Georgia Republicans are rebuking David Perdue for not having any reason to run for governor. He's never articulated one.
Do you think former President Trump's influence now, at least in Georgia, among Republicans is diminished? Mm-hmm. Or is it essentially the same as it has been?
There's two ways to look at Trump's influence. Trump, the individual, I think his abilities to influence might be diminishing a bit, but Trumpism is not diminishing. In some ways, you look at what we're seeing in some other primaries, and there are people that are even Trumpier than Trump that are seeing a surge in a place like Pennsylvania, for instance. And he's suddenly coming in and going, no, go with my more institutionally supported candidate, Dr. Oz, And it shows you that I think this movement is gotten bigger and is harder to control, that even Trump can't fully control it.
Meet the Press airs Sunday morning at 10 on 11 Alive. Chuck, thanks a lot.